What is up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Unhinged Diary podcast. And today's episode is going to be on my continuing series on the ugly truth to pretty privilege, but this time it's going to be on Fannita and Alix Earle edition, which for those who have no idea what I'm even talking about or literally what I just said, it's been a really popular topic with the past week or so on TikTok. If you're like gonna listen or watch this episode and think I'm gonna break down the whole drama, I'm not. Like, I'm gonna leave some videos on the screen or in the description down below. People, you can the videos you can watch that can help you further break down all that's been going on and why everything has transpired the way that it did. Because I don't want to dogpile on everyone's opinions and backlash on Fannita. I just really wanted to take that situation and really dive deep into the pretty privilege and why that's such a big thing. And I feel like this whole situation plays a huge role on the topic alone. And I felt like it felt perfect with, the ongoing conversation I've been having on my recent podcast episodes. So if you're interested on how I'm going to approach all of that, then definitely keep on watching or listening. But you already know the drill. If you're not if you're a continuing listener or watcher, you already know how to go about my episodes. I like to talk about one positive thing that happened to me this week and then one negative. Because, bitch, I'm still the star of the show. But basically, I guess you can say the most positive thing that happened to me this week is I'm really excited because this weekend I'm going to see Doja Cat in the Xfinity Center in Massachusetts. It is like a 5-hour drive from where I'm at. So me and my cousin decided to go have a little road trip adventure, and we're gonna drive to the fucking stadium and just have a little road trip, but get to experience Doja Cat. I really, really love Doja Cat, okay? And my cousin did too, and we both were pretty iffy about it, even how we're gonna be able to do this, because I'm if we drive there, we're both on a budget, but we decided it's gonna be a whole fun adventure. We're gonna go, we bought these fucking $15 little tents from Five Below, and we found a little campsite that's $10 to get in, and that's we are gonna finesse this. I'm gonna actually do a whole vlog about it on my other YouTube channel, so if you guys are interested in that, definitely I'll leave that channel in the description down below. But it's just gonna be so fun the way that we're approaching it, because I'm baby, if we're gonna go to Massachusetts, I want to spend a lot of money on the experience, not on dumb things where I'm gonna sleep or where I'm gonna eat. I'm no girl, we're gonna sit there, we're gonna pack our food, even if we're gonna ramen noodle it, we're gonna pack our food. If we're sleeping on a damn $15 tent or even in my car, at least with the remaining money that we have to spend, we can go out clubbing, or we can go out do some activities, go to the beach. I really want to go to the beach. So I'm really excited about it, because I feel that's what makes the experience even better. Whereas if you already spent so much money on the Airbnb, on eating out in expensive places, it's no, now we get to use this money and do so much more with it. And I don't know, I just feel it's gonna be so much more fun now, on a budget, which is crazy, because I thought that was gonna kind of ruin the experience. Damn, we're such on a budget that we're not gonna have fun. Whereas now it's dang, we just figured out how we're going to be able to sleep and rest, and we're saving so much money, because the money that they were asking for Airbnbs close by was ridiculous. It was too ridiculous, and I'm no, that's way too much money. So now it's going to be way more fun. And of course, Doja Cat. I'm so excited. I'm literally manifesting meeting her. So hopefully by my next episode, I have a picture and I met her in some way, or I'm on stage with her. I am manifesting it. My coworkers have been so excited about me seeing her. They're oh my God. They're I'm going to be so envious if you get a picture with her. I'm don't mind if I do, okay? I am going to manifest my way to be able to have that happen. I want it to happen so bad. So I'm really just excited about all of it, the trip alone, and then seeing Doja Cat perform, because she's an entertainer. She's truly an entertainer, so that's why I've been wanting to see her for so long, but it's just always been too far, or the timing wasn't right. And honestly, really funny story, but when I was building my vision board that I'm looking at right now, the only reason why I always mention it is by the end of the year, I am going to show you guys my vision board and show you what I accomplished, blah 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 blah. But the funny thing about my vision board is, on my vision board, I wanted specifically to manifest more concert experiences, because concerts are so fun when it's the right artist and the right crowd and everything. And when it comes to Doja Cat, when I see so many of her live performances, I'm I wish I was there. And because I would watch so many of her live performances, I literally had a picture, which it wasn't specifically Doja Cat I was trying to see. I was just trying to specifically manifest experiences of going to more concerts. So the fact that I used a Doja Cat picture and it manifested to me actually going to her concert is kind of crazy now that I'm thinking about that. Like, it's insane. Like, a vision board, like, the power behind it is truly insane. And the things that manifested through that, it's like, yeah. But yeah, that's basically that on that. On the positive and the negative, I don't really feel like I have too much negative. I guess the only negative thing I've really experienced this week is my sleeping schedule. Like, it's been really bad, but I guess bad in a way where I'm still like really been really productive and I've been getting a lot done. And I feel like I wish I was resting more. But at the same time, it's like, it's summertime, basically. Like, it's summertime, so bitch, we don't know sleep when it's the summertime. That we're gonna be outside or having experiences, or I'm gonna be on work mode and pushing out more episodes or just doing my social media thing, you know. So it's like, I've been seeing it as a good thing. It's just like, that's the only complete I could really truly say I had this week, was truly that, was just my sleeping schedule. But other than that, it's been a pretty good week. I've been really just preparing and excited for this trip, and I just feel like it's going to be a blast, and hopefully I don't get kidnapped or die or whatever the fuck will happen, whatever. I'm just very spooked about it because it's like the farthest I'm driving, like 5 hours. But thank God me and my cousin are splitting the trip. So I just feel like it's going to be a blast, and I'm going to have the vlog hopefully up before my next episode when it comes out. So yeah. So with all that being said, we're going to get into today's podcast episode, The Ugly Side of Pretty Privilege, featuring Fannita and Alix Earle, which has been a really popular conversation. Not necessarily the pretty privilege aspect, but just them two alone has been a very popular topic on TikTok. But when I've been seeing the approach of people been bringing up the pretty privilege or how you get treated when you lose weight, I was like, I need to talk about this on my podcast, because it's just really ironic given the fact that we've been talking about this with the past couple episodes. So if you're interested in listening or seeing how I'm gonna approach that conversation, then let's get into it, because y'all, I have notes, like I have a shit ton to say. So we have a lot to get to. So Fannita has been acting very unhinged online as of lately. Like, she's been calling her fans broke, saying that she hates them, and basically like she's been going on this whole thing that she calls a Coke rant. And we're not talking about Coca-Cola the drink. I think what made this such a bigger whole like a whole big deal and bigger than what it really needed to be was her saying that she looks better than Alix Earle. I didn't mean to laugh. It's just like such a crazy statement, but I don't know. But she feels like she looks better than Alix Earle and she deserves to get paid more than her. And with all that being said, for me, the thing that really spoke out to me, which really inspired this episode, was her saying that y'all only liked me when I was fat. And to me, what that screams is, I want to go back to when I wasn't hyper fixated on my appearance and I was accepted for just simply being myself. Those who don't know why that's such a big deal and such a big like conversation starter is the fact that like Fannita experienced a drastic change in weight loss. You talked about that so much online and how it's been like for her being treated so differently, and how much of an experience that really is, because it truly is. When you're getting bullied for simply just not being what society wants, and then you suddenly go through this drastic change, that is something that needs to be talked about more, because it's something that's so mind-fucking, and we're going to talk more detail in about that. To understand everything from a psychological standpoint, we humans, we crave connection, and we are wired to be united together, like in a tribe and shit. And when you feel isolated, rejected, or treated less human because of how you look, not only does that fuck with your head, but you will become addicted to when you experience people suddenly treating you differently and like just being so much more nicer to you. And that's something I feel like people don't talk about enough, and I feel like people feel like it's shallow to admit that you're addicted to that feeling. And I'm someone who tell you straight up, if I had to lose my pretty privilege, I'll be like, hell to the no. Trust me, even though it has a lot of ugly sides to it, like it's just so sad when you aren't what society would deem is attractive, or like whatever the case may be in that aspect, it's like you are treated so much more different than when you are what the society would deem as attractive. People are so much like we live in a very shallow world, and it's something that people are very like hesitant on talking about, and I'm just like it's like when you start to feel that change in treatment that you've been receiving from people being threatened, it's really terrifying. And in Fannita's case, I feel like she hasn't healed from her inner child pain. Basically, like there's such a pain when it comes to your inner child, when it comes to the aspect of like, why wasn't that version of myself that I loved so much not accepted? Like, why is it that I experienced this change? A very shallow change, by the way. It becomes more romanticized, more praised than the part of me that's so authentic and beautiful and worthy as well. And I've been there. Honestly, I will be honest with you. If you listen to my recent episodes, it's something I'm still experiencing, especially like now that I'm like taking dating more serious, because, you know, the beginning of my dating experience definitely was a bit unhinged and, you know, not taking things serious. But now that I'm really trying to approach dating in an aspect of like being more serious, it is so mind fucking. And it really does create an anger inside of you where it's like, wow, like you do not give a shit about the qualities that I possess that I feel like is so worthy and beautiful. Like it's almost like you disregard it because it's like, we don't give a shit about this. You're hot and I want to fuck you. Like we live in a world like that, but I can imagine in her aspect where like her personality is what made her so successful, because she's a very funny, entertaining person, and then she goes through this weight loss and it's almost like people don't really want to pay too much mind to that, and it is a mind fuck. It honestly makes you start to feel resentful and you start to want to defend your inner child. Like she was worthy too. Like it's something that people don't really want to talk about. I feel like the common misconception when it comes to pretty privilege is how if you hyperfixate on your looks or hyperfixate on improving it, that it will bring light to who you are and the version of you that most people aren't seeing. But the really toxic part about pretty privilege is the fact that like not only does it not do that, but it kind of attracts the wrong type of people. Very shallow people, by the way. The really harsh reality to it all is that your looks will not earn you respect. And that is like the biggest lesson that I learned this year, was that like your looks will not earn you respect. And not only that, but it's like the people and the connections you gain simply just by your looks are just worth nothing because they're just really shallow people. And I'm not trying to sit here and say like, oh my God, like of course maybe someone came up to you and they complimented you. They're like, oh my God, you're really pretty. And also you built like a really beautiful, deep connection. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that literally only feel like the only interesting thing about you is your appearance. And if you like become friends with people just by that alone, or date someone just through that alone, that connection is worth nothing. Hence hookup culture, when like people are just truly like infatuated or only interested in the physical part of you, that connection means nothing compared to like, of course someone can still be attracted to your physical appearance, but if they don't really care about the part of you, the like parts of you that are beautiful, the qualities that you possess that aren't really like truly more out there, it's like if you meet someone that just like truly fully focus on the physical part of you, that connection means nothing. And that's like the harsh part of like pretty privilege, is the fact that you will gain a lot of connections that are just like very shallow. And you will start to really have that harsh reality of like, dang, this shit means nothing. Like it really doesn't mean anything at all. The thing that I truly fear in this whole situation is the fact that like this is exactly what we are seeing when it comes to Fannita. And I feel like we're seeing a woman that really hit the hard reality of pretty privilege, and that like people start to care less about your mind and what makes you you. And when your looks start to play a role, it's almost like all of the other beautiful qualities that you possess aren't interesting enough anymore. And it's just the really shallow world that we're living in, according to the really shallow world that we're living in, because I truly feel like for me, I value more deep connections. Like, I really value getting to know people to their core and understanding why they are the way that they are and why they think the way that they are. But we live in a world where they don't give a shit about that. Like, you just, if you're hot, that's it. Like, you won already, and that's really all they're gonna grasp onto. I feel like she's become so paranoid of this change of perception that she starts to feel like, because she's changed, that people only genuinely liked her when she was plus sized, and people who, you know, are, you know, go through this glow up aren't liked. And that is kind of like the fucked up shallow part of the world that we live in today, where it's like, for me personally, coming from my experience of experiencing pretty privilege, is the fact that, like, it is crazy when I was like ugly, or society's version of ugly, I had the most deepest connections ever. Like, I had like the coolest friends ever. Like, when I grew up, like, I was friends with like the nerds or like the outcasts because I connected deeply with them. They didn't give a shit about looking some kind of way or being accepted by anybody. They were just authentically themselves. So when I was like a like society's version of ugly, it's like I connected deeply with people. I feel like I attracted people that genuinely were attracted to my mind, because all I really had was like my personality. And I loved that though. Like, that's why I can understand Fannita's frustration of like, y'all only liked me when I was fat. Like, y'all appreciated me more when I was fat. And it's the sad, shallow world that we live in. I can't imagine from like the public eye standpoint, where you go through this drastic change. Like, honestly, Kylie Jenner, she's a whole nother victim to that as well. But that's a whole nother video for, I can make that my next episode, matter of fact. But it's like, it's such a mind fuck when you look some kind of way. Like, especially like, now that I'm bringing up Kylie Jenner, remember when she went through that like teal blue hair era on Vine? Everyone says that was her best era. Why? Because she was so silly and so like lighthearted. Whereas now it's always like, you know, she needs to look this specific way, because when people started to really value her. And that kind of fucks with your head. Because like I said, us human beings, we value, like, we are just like programmed to like, you know, crave connection. So once you feel like that's threatened, you're going to do everything that it takes to not lose that. And I feel like with Fannita, she's going through that like ego death in a way where she's like, damn, this is the really shallow world that we live in today, where people truly only care about the way that I look. But then when it came to the aspect where I was at that time, you know, plus size, and I didn't really care about, I didn't hyperfixate on my appearance, I felt free. There's something free about that, you know? Same thing for me back then when I look some kind of way, is that there's something free about just being authentically yourself and people loving that. Like, there's something so, like, we all want to be accepted. We all love that. We all love the feeling of feeling accepted and finding a group of people that accept you. So I can't imagine her blowing up on the internet and feeling this praise just by simply, like, there's such a gift to that. Like, especially when you're in the social media eye, for me, like, I'm not even popping, but like when I find my little group of people that love me for just being me, there's something so beautiful about that. And it's even better when you're authentically yourself. But there's something so damaging when it's like you start to feel like people don't care about the things that they valued before. Because like I said, and you feel like you're being threatened, like, what the hell? Like, it's such a mind fuck. The thing that I feel like is the most interesting about all of this is the fact that, like, how Alix Earle really started to play a role in a situation was how she does benefit from pretty privilege, but she isn't wildly successful as she is because of simply just pretty privilege. And that's the thing that people start to really get, no, she's like really pretty and that's the only reason why she's successful. That plays a role on why she's successful, but it's not the only reason why. Because think about it, there's so many people that are so beautiful and attractive and they're not thriving the way that she is. There's obviously other factors that play a role, and I'm gonna show you the really shallow, you know, reason why. But she's an influencer, simply. Like, Alix Earle's an influencer, and she sells the ultimate dream of financial freedom and also just being really beautiful. And she's also really wildly authentic, and she'll show you her life without hiding all of the flaws and the messiness. Like, she showed her Accutane experience. She'll talk about her drunk little messy stories that really is authentic, and people don't like, people that are really wildly attractive and like successful won't always feel like open to share. She's from from like what a market standpoint is digestible. And the more digestible you are to the marketplace throughout all large groups, is the more you're going to get paid and the more you're just going to simply be marketable. And Fannita, like, the harsh reality, which I don't agree with. So before people try to clock me and say, Allie, that's really fucked up. I didn't say that I agree with this. It's just the world that we live in. It's the things that people don't want to admit. But Fannita is a comedian. And the really ugly truth is that comedy doesn't sell. It doesn't sell too well. And because the reason why comedy doesn't sell as well as it used to back then is because if you make a joke that hits, like, that misses the mark, you become a liability. Like, why do you think comedy movies or just comedy in general is not what it used to be? Like, it really has changed so much drastically because of that. Like, why do you think people get canceled and all that? Like, you start to really become a liability when you're authentic in the way where you don't care and you make dark humor, dark jokes that like won't land or won't age well, And Alix Earle, she's the girl that you always look for when it comes to like makeup, beauty, advice, or inspo. That makes her more marketable. And Fannita, she's definitely an entertainer. However, which is like, this is like the main point that I want to get across when it comes to this video. And it's the fact that, like, why do you think that influencers are doing way better financially or just in general than celebrities or people who actually, like, no tea, no shade, but have a lot of talent? Like, we live in a day and age where it's all about being marketable to brands. And it's like, do I agree with any of this at all? No, but this is what I mean by it being the ugly truth. Like, think about it. When Kim Kardashian, when she started diving into becoming a beauty influencer, she hopped on that train and started collabing with all these beauty gurus on YouTube because they were doing wildly successful. Like, they were hitting the mainstream media to the point where it's like, they were being talked about as much as a celebrity. And that's why there's this huge shift into like, wow, like, why the fuck is celebrity culture dying the way that it is? And like I said, I am diving into a whole nother conversation, but it's just like, because it's all about being marketable. And I feel like Fannita keeps talking all this shit. Like, she's been going on this rampage, okay? And the thing that really frustrates me more about this whole situation is the fact that, like, she could have took this conversation and talked about the dark side of how people would treat you so differently when it comes to like drastic weight loss, or just creating such a bigger conversation to these issues, and instead of like taking it the route that she did. And like I said, I don't want to judge in the way that, like, the route that she took all of that from, because I can understand her pain. Like, for me, like, I feel like a lot of people aren't showing her grace, and you don't have to, because she called a lot of her fans broke and was talking hella shit. I'm like, girl, you reap what you sow. Like, you put yourself, like, you make, like, you gotta sleep in the bed that you made, basically. But it's like, at the end of the day, I feel like people aren't really trying to look deeper and like see that it's just a woman with a lot of pain. It's a woman with a lot of unhealed trauma, because I know what that does to you. Like, it's so mind fucking when you're like a lover girl, you're someone that has such a big heart, and people do not give a shit about it. Like, they just care about the surface the surface level factors. Like, that's all they care about. They care that if you're attractive enough, what you do in bed, compared to like, wow, like, I want to know her mind, I want to know her aspirations, like the things that she likes, the thing that she hates, like all those like deeper quality things people nowadays don't give a shit about. Like, this whole world is all about instant gratification, not like people that worked hard to get to where they are. Like, it's not like that anymore. It's just so devastating to see when it comes to Fannita, because I think she's a very talented, beautiful woman. Like, regardless when she was plus size, I really did enjoy her content. Like, she's really hilarious. It's just like, I just see a woman with a lot of pain, and she's like hitting that wall. And unless you've been there, hitting that wall is like true heartbreak. Like, for me, like, if you've been listening to my past episodes, it's been true heartbreak for me, really realizing the dark truth of dating when it comes to like experiencing pretty privilege. Like I said, years ago, dating was so different when it is to me now that like I grew up, or I'm like society's version of attractive. It's like so surface level. Like, men will literally, like, 5 minutes into a conversation bring up sex, or only hyperfixate on my appearance, compared to really knowing Like, wow, like this girl's funny. Like, this girl's very goal oriented. She has so many aspirations. Like, there's so many other qualities that are so much more interesting. But it's almost like it gets disregarded once you fit society's version of what they want you to look like. And it's crazy. And my heart goes out to her. And I hope that, like, she could turn the situation around and really, I think she could still like fix it. Like, she won't be respected in the way that she was before, but I do think that if she decides to be vulnerable, because vulnerability can take you so far, especially if it's really authentic, by the way, because there's people out there that try to play the vulnerability card and they'll be vulnerable online with their apology and then it just falls flat because it doesn't feel authentic. But I felt like if she stops making everything about herself and really has that deep conversation of like what she's been experiencing, and to say the things that people don't want to say out loud, like I said, it fucks you up in your head and you become almost attached to when people suddenly start being nice to you, because we're human beings, we crave connection. So once you feel like that those nice, you know, that nice treatment you've been receiving is being threatened, it fucks with your head. And for her, I feel like she's just so paranoid. She feels like, you know, like she feels like her only worth now is how she looks now, the weight loss. And it's sad. But it's like, it's kind of when you start hitting that wall. And I really do feel like she's hit that wall. And my heart really goes out to her. And I really hope that she really, like, if she were to ever see this video, I don't know. But or anyone close to her were to see this video, it's like I really just hope that she can still turn this around. She won't be respected the way she was before, but she can sit there and just be vulnerable and say, hey, this is what I've been experiencing. Like, I truly feel like I lost that connection with myself and the value that I had within myself. Like, I don't feel like I'm valuable like the way that I used to, where it was like who I am authentically. Now I feel like it's become a really shallow, like it really fucks with your head. And then when people treat you differently, or when people only connect with you because of your appearance, like for shallow reasons, it fucks with your head. There's a heartbreak that you go through. Like, people don't want to say the word heartbreak because it's almost like too pussy or sensitive. No, I'm a Cancer. I'm a water sign, okay? I am a pussy. And I'll say it's a fucking heartbreak. Like, I went through heartbreak in the sense of dating. Like, wow, like people are so fucking shallow. There's a heartbreak when it comes to that. When you're just authentic, you want to be authentic. You want to be accepted for being authentic. And that's the ugly truth, you guys, to Pretty Privilege featuring Alix Earle and Fannita. But I definitely want to know what you guys think about this whole conversation. I know there's a lot of racial factors that play a role in all this, but I feel like it's not really my place to speak on that. So I'm definitely going to comment. I'm going to put some videos in the description of people that spoke up about that if you're interested in like trying to understand that aspect of that whole conversation. But yeah, that's everything for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. The moment I saw all this transpire on TikTok, I knew I just wanted to come on here and talk about it, but just simply from that aspect of pretty privilege and the heartbreak and all the like uncomfortable things people don't want to talk about when it comes to all that. And I'm just hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I definitely want you guys to comment down below your thoughts and opinions on that, or other perspectives that I may have missed or mentioned. But yeah, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, the podcast YouTube channel, make sure to click that subscribe button down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment down below. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure to give it a 5 stars rating, because I know you guys learned one thing from it, or you guys enjoyed it in some capacity. And I love you guys so much, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.